So the mean one is the Grinch, but horror. They're very careful not to actually call him the Grinch. They go out of their way to be like, he's the mean one. I call him the mean one. So the movie starts with Cindy, you know who, in Newville, where the mean one kills her mother in front of her. And her dad move away, and then all of a sudden we cut to 20 years later, when Cindy and her dad return to Newville to sell the house. But as we discover, Christmas is pretty much outlawed in Newville. So they make the mistake of course, putting up Christmas decorations, and all of a sudden here comes the mean one and kills her father. But he does put up a bit of a fight, but then, of course, right through the head. Cindy already is suffering from PTSD, and everyone doesn't believe her because when she was a kid, she drew a sketch of a green guy dressed as Santa Claus, and everyone's just calling her crazy. It's like, nah, this is stupid. It was a guy. It was a man. It doesn't make sense this is a monster because monsters don't exist. So her entire life, she just went with people calling her crazy. So she suffers from PTSD about the whole thing. It gets a little questionable, but I'll get to that in a moment. At one point, there is a busload of people dressed as Santa Claus, dressed as elves, dressed as Christmas trees, going to SantaCon, which is actually a real thing. And they stop at this diner by Newville, and they're dressed as Santa. So there's bells, and there's Christmassy stuff, and all of a sudden, here's the mean one. And whoo, it is a brutal, brutal massacre. Like, there's even a meat grinder. It's the first time in the movie we actually see the mean one just outright kill people. Up until then, we've only really seen him, like, the aftermath of the kill, or the person falling down after the fatal blow, or falling down onto something which kills them. So this is the first time we actually see him murder people, and it's really a glorious, glorious scene. And back to Cindy, you know who. Of course, the sheriff doesn't believe her, didn't believe her back then, doesn't believe her now, but there is a deputy who wants to help. And there's a really weird sequence where she's sleeping. Well, we find out after she's sleeping, but she has a sex dream about the deputy, okay? Sex dream. It's like, okay, it's a horror movie. There's sex. It happens. But then she wakes up and realizes she has to kill the mean one. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, that is your realization? You have sex in a dream. And that makes you realize you have to kill the bad guy. And now to where it gets questionable part. She starts training, right? And she becomes like an expert in combat and knife play and firearms. And it's like, damn, this girl's a badass now. But it happens in a matter of days. Like, this woman is so goddamn good. She becomes an expert immediately. Good for her, but not believable at all. And I know, it's a movie. Suspend disbelief, especially in horror. But it's still kind of ridiculous. And then the ending happens, and it's an interesting twist. A very interesting twist of we learned earlier in the movie that people are going missing on the mountain in Newville. And it's a very interesting twist to discover why they're going missing. It is because of the mean one, obviously. But it's like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of smart by the people behind it. But at the same time, it's also kind of fucked up because they're leading people to their deaths. And then there's a bigger twist. Right before Cindy goes to kill the mean one, it's revealed. I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it. But it's actually quite the big twist. It's like, holy shit. Ultimately, the mean one, it's bad acting. It's absolutely atrocious acting. But David Howard Thornton, who is best known as Art the Clown in the Terrifier series, he's amazing as the mean one. He is the mean one. And just like Terrifier, doesn't say a word. It's all body language, it's all movements, it's all facial expressions, and he does it perfectly. He is amazing at this. You know, he could be, with the exception of the contortionist part, because I don't really think he's ever really done anything like that, at least not that I've seen. In terms of just acting in suits and in makeup, he could be the next Doug Jones. We've got the special effects, which the practical effects I think are actually good. Like, you know, the blood and guts that are practical, when somebody is killed, the suit for the mean one, the mask, it's all fantastic, I think. But then when we see CGI, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, which is not really that much of a surprise. It's a low-budget horror movie, so it's like not a huge surprise, but it's kind of disappointing when they try to mix good practical effects with shitty CGI, because it doesn't work. The mean one, it's ridiculous. It's kind of dumb, but it's fun. It is a fun movie. I give the mean one only 2.
Did you enjoy the review? Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see a new Craptacular Horror Review every week. Feel free to leave a comment to discuss your thoughts on the movie, or if you have a film you'd like to see reviewed in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.